Welcome back to another episode of Your Visionary Podcast.
Your Visionary Podcast.
Your Visionary Podcast. Your Visionary Podcast.
Visionary Podcast.
Welcome to Your Visionary Podcast. This podcast is specifically for you and your vision. Get ready to grow. Let's go.
All right, and we live. Welcome back to another episode of Your Visionary Podcast. I'm your host, Christian Brown, also known as Visionary Siege, and today is another episode, and it's a solo episode, as you can see, and we're coming to the end of this season titled Finding Peace Through Mental Health. And this episode is all about what I call introspection for perfection, right? Introspection for perfection, and that's the title of this episode, and it's based on the idea that the beginning of a mental health journey should start with an introspection process. And it's kind of symbolic of where I'm at right now. I'm in the middle of Paris. You can see his cars driving by, people walking by, and it's kind of hectic, right? And that's kind of how the introspection process is, because it requires you to find focus in chaos, you know, because at a lot of times there are so many things going on in life, so many headlines, so many social media posts, so much work to do, so many just hurdles to jump over. But if you want to be serious about taking your mental health seriously, you have to learn how to focus in chaos. And so that's what I'm doing right now, and talking about the topic of finding introspection. And so through this episode, I want to give you three main questions on how to really start that introspection process. And these questions, I want you to write them down and then think about them and meditate on them. Right, and there's a definition of meditation, which is so simple, and it basically says that meditation is thinking a thought over and over and over again. So these questions, look at them as thoughts that you're thinking to yourself as you're asking yourself the question, right? And the purpose, again, is to take on this introspection process, introspection for perfection. And I know perfection isn't a real thing, but I think the most perfect thing that we can do in our lives is put our focus on our mental health and make sure that our mind is as healthy as possible. And so let's get started. Question number one: where in my life am I not taking full ownership? Right? The question is, where in my life am I not taking full ownership? And basically that question means that throughout our lives, it's on us to take full responsibility for our actions and also for our results. And sometimes we may blame other people for the stuff that we're going through or the things that are happening in our lives. And when we blame other people, that's us not taking full ownership for our lives. And so write that question down: where in my life am I not taking full ownership? And think about that, right? Think about all aspects of your life. Think about your work. Think about your personal. Think about your faith life, your family life, your spiritual life, all the different aspects of your life, and think about where you're not taking full ownership. And question number two: what am I doing that I need to stop? Or what am I not doing that I need to start? And I think this is such a wonderful question, because I truly believe that as human beings, we are experts on ourselves, right? We are the only experts on ourselves. And nobody knows us like we know ourselves, right? So this question really just paints a picture clear, and it forces you to decide what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And I think that leads you in a positive direction, and it allows you to also take ownership over your actions and over your results as well. And so the second question is, what am I doing that I need to stop? Or what am I not doing that I need to start? So write that down. Keep it somewhere safe. And the third question is, what matters most in my life right now? What matters most in my life right now? And it's cool because as I was personally going through therapy, my therapist kept asking me, like, what matters most to me in my life right now? And when she used to ask me, like, I used to say just cliche things, right? Like, oh, my family, my relationships, my goals. But I think there is like a deeper meaning, and there's more to find in that question. The question, what matters most in your life right now? I think it's a question that does not need to be answered right in the moment. It's one of those questions where you really actually meditate and think about it deeply, like what matters most to you. And also be aware of just the actions you're taking, because the actions that you're taking should align with what matters most to you. And if it doesn't align, then that brings some awareness to, how you can kind of alter your daily actions and just your mindset, so that you can be aligned, so your actions can be aligned with your mindset and where you want to be and go in your life. So I think these are just 3 really, really good questions to start the introspection process, to get ready and to just move forward in the positive direction with your mental health journey. And so I want to go over these questions again. The first one is, where in my life am I not taking full ownership? The second question is, what am I doing that I need to stop? Or what am I not doing that I need to start? And the third question is, what matters most in my life right now? So 3 questions for introspection. That's the topic of this episode. And thank you for watching, or thank you for listening if you are listening. And if you're just listening on the audio, I want to encourage you to go to YouTube. My YouTube channel is Christian Brown, or you can type in Your Visionary Podcast and go and watch this video live, because I think it's cool to see just the views and the vibes that's going on behind me. And again, this is just a symbolic moment, and this really symbolizes just focusing in chaos, finding focus in chaos, because I think that's relevant to just a mental health journey, because when you're struggling and just dealing with mental roadblocks, it can feel like chaos. It could feel like you have so many things on your plate, and even though it may be good things, sometimes when you have too many things going on, it's hard to just really focus and make positive actions towards a goal. But when you do, and when you are able to find that focus, good things happen, progress happens as a result of this episode, right? Like, this episode will be published, and it took real focus. And shout out to blemish.com, blimish.com. I have the logo up on the screen, but go to blemish.com. It's the sponsor for this season, but it's also the startup, my wellness startup that I'm out here in Paris building, right? In Paris building this mental wellness startup with the focus of creating a virtual environment that is a safe space for people to go and find community, but also learn about mental wellness and consult with wise counsel. Because as I don't know if I shared it on this podcast before, but I've taken the time to really think about my journey and think about my life thus far. And the transformation that I had personally in college was mainly because of 4 pillars that are the 4 pillars of Blemish, right? The 4 pillars are positive community, insightful resources, wise counsel, and a fun experience. And so I believe that through Blemish, we're really creating an end-to-end solution for helping individuals evolve in life in a positive way. And so if you want to learn more about what we're doing, go to blemish.com, blimish.com. Thank you again for watching and for listening. Wherever you're listening or watching, leave a comment, leave a like, leave a review, all of that good stuff. And I'll see you all on the next episode. Peace and love.